Hello, everybody. Okay, load. I'm lost. Chapter 3. Unexpected encounters. Okay, I had hoped never to see her again, and for the better part of 2 years, turned out pretty much that way. I might have glanced at someone with similar features once or twice during that time, but each time I would go out of my way to avoid that person's path altogether, never taking the risk of an encounter. I had graduated from college and had been working for a company for less than a year. I focused on my work diligently, the same way I focused on my studies during my time at school. Even though I didn't have any ambition, the way I did my work, mechanically, like a machine, was apparently something to be proud of. At least that's how my paycheck saw the whole thing. My life seemed to be pretty much set in stone. I had even found a girlfriend who could deal with my boring self and my equally boring life. So I had someone to fuck a couple of times a week to dispel my stress sufficiently. I didn't love her. I think she knew it. Did she simply turn a blind eye? Or was she using me for her own benefit too? It didn't really matter though. I don't think she loved me either. Not that I think I would love myself, even if I was forced to. Oh, fancy. Oh, fancy restaurant. It was the kind of night I was starting to get accustomed to. That particular client loved to meet in the particular environments, even if we were only discussing business. Not that he was the only one with that type of special request. To be honest, it didn't bother me all that much. At the very least, it wasn't as boring as the usual meetings around the conference table. It was my third time, I think, visiting that place. Usually we met on a Tuesday. Because of some unforeseen circumstances, the client had decided that we should meet on the following Thursday instead. It was one of those places that could be attributed to the category of adult entertainment, yet it wasn't the traditional strip club that most people would probably think of when they heard the term adult entertainment. No, this was a place... Oh, excuse me. This place was a bit more classy. But don't misunderstand me, alright? The themes surrounding this whole establishment were still very much sex, indeed. But instead of description, prostitutes, the woman would bear the name of hostesses, and instead of dancing indecently around a pole, the hostess entertained their guests by serving food and drinks and by sitting around the guests' table, listening to their pathetic life stories, all the while huge smiles plastered on their faces. Some people might wonder why a business such as this fell into the same category as a strip club, but what you need to understand is that every woman serving there could be bought for the night. The only thing was, you needed to pay a premium price, alright. These women were all high-quality prostitutes after all. So I was with the client, talking about everything except meaningful topics. When the hostess came in, she started off by asking what kind of drinks we wanted. But she became quite agitated, right in the middle of her speech, the moment our eyes met. Probably because she finally realized with whom she was dealing with. Because obviously, it was her. Oh, shame. There she was, right in front of me. Those eyes, that smile. I could hardly believe it. She was as beautiful as ever, and with the uniform she was wearing, a tight, sexy black dress. It was hard not to think of anything else but sex when looking at her. Dark urges that had taken root 2 years ago, the vulgar and evil passion that had driven my mind completely wild back then. Everything that I had felt on that single night was rekindled anew. The woman I had thought might have been a virgin 2 years ago was now working as a prostitute. For how long? Once again, she had made a fool out of me. I had fought those urges as best as I could that night, thinking how wrong it would be to subject such a pure and delicate woman to such evil intentions. When in reality, she was stained from the very beginning. She must have been planning the damn thing even then. She would have forced me to pay after that act, probably. How fly of her, looking down on me like that. This time, carry on. Can't we talk for a bit first? She asked, tensed out of her mind. A full hour has elapsed since my meeting her at the bar. I had chatted with her for a bit, though not hiding my complete lack of interest towards anything coming out of her mouth, while I licked her with my eyes. The entire time in complete lust, I didn't mention her profession. Perhaps she thought I was being considerate of her feelings. Well, I betrayed that thought, all right. After all her incessant babbling, I simply said to her, let's finish the night at a hotel. And that's where we are now. We've literally just taken the first step into the room, and I've already ordered her to take off her clothes. We've just arrived, she points out. We should drink some wine to loosen up the mood, don't you think? I don't believe this. Damn. Ooh, a lot of editing. She's been spreading her legs with dirty old men for God knows how long. But she's resistant to the idea of undressing in front of me. How long is she going to insult me like this? I don't give a shit about what you think. But she interjects a sad expression on her face. I said to you undress already. Isn't that clear to you? My frantic shout echoes through the room like thunder. She recoils in sheer surprise, alarmed by my sudden yet predictable animosity. Thankfully, though, the exit is behind me and she can't escape easily. She does as I ask, visibly pained by it, while I continue to defile her with those ever so filthy eyes of mine. I'm so entranced by her every subtle motion that I almost forget how to breathe. Whoa, okay. Don't go for that. Camera, stop. Oh, what's this? Is that supposed to be your cute side or something? How disgusting. To my surprise, she's not wearing a G-string or any kind of sexy lingerie, for that matter. No, she's wearing ordinary panties with some ridiculous motifs on them. Running shoes or something. Yeah, I wear it because, well, you don't like it? I sneer in exaggerated manner. She gradually drops her gaze to the ground in embarrassment. This is so much fun, humiliating her. Might very well be what I needed to finally be able to cope with myself. But just as those pleasant thoughts are starting to take form in the back of my mind, I finally realize something. She took off her panties alright, but what is she... Hey, what the fuck are you doing? She avoids my stare, keeping her eyes on the ground, visibly flustered. I just... Stop hiding yourself. I want to see every last part, every filthy centimeter of the slutty body of yours. Aren't you supposed to be proud of it? Showing it to every loser you meet for a few empty bucks? She's both hiding her breasts and her crotch with her arm and hand, as though she's undressing for the very first time in front of a man. How long is she going to mock me like this? I don't want it this way. Not while you don't... Huh? I walk up to her enraged. She's telling me that she won't do it with me. That even though she's literally selling her body and shame every single day, she can still refuse me of all people. How insulting. And I was even trying to maintain a minimum of respect. But now... I push her hard down onto the bed. She falls onto it without fighting back. But even as she's lying defenseless on top of the bed, she still tries the best she can to hide herself from me, as if I was the most disgusting and vile monster there is. Enough. I climb onto the bed without hesitation. The fact that she still hasn't cried out for help surprises me immensely, as I, without a shred of doubt, must look extremely terrifying right now. In no time at all, I'm on top of her, desperately trying to pin her down. Finally achieved my goal with no real difficulty, the moment I remembered that delicacy is not in the dictionary of the monster she thinks of me. It's her own damn fault. She made me who I am. It cannot be helped. She should be asking for forgiveness. If she hadn't laughed at me for all those years, this situation would never have happened. Something in a dark, secluded part of my mind was screaming at me, encouraging me to go even further, to crush her. At last, with her arms out of the way, I could finally take one good look at her body. No need to explain that. The very moment my dick was already at its limit and ready to explode, It was hot as fire, waiting with great apprehension for the moment when it could finally thrust itself into her ferociously. My eyes lick her all the way from the bottom to the top, her long and delicate legs, that perfectly shaped, her slender arms and stomach, those huge and pale breasts, and then my eyes lick her all the way from the bottom to the top, her face without that smile, her face which was bright red and contorted into a sorrowful expression. She was crying. Oh, for that she was, but those were not tears out of fear for her life. She didn't beg me to let go of her, or to at least be gentle with her. She was just crying silently as though she had given up entirely. She wasn't scared of me at all. She was disappointed, it seemed. Of me? Of her? Of the situation? I have no idea. But why am I even trying to understand anyway? By this point I had stopped myself. But why? I don't know. Her behavior enthralled me. I couldn't wrap my head around it. Isn't this what I was wishing for? It was my fantasy, wasn't it? To take away that smile of hers, that happiness. But I realized it only now. There never was any happiness in that smile to begin with. Our eyes finally met, those big brown eyes full of distress. I could drown myself in them right now. That's how tearful they are. They are so passionate, and they hold a darkness darker than my own. Noticing the hesitation on my face, she takes opportunity to murmur something faint, something almost inedible, something incredible. I love you. I've always loved you. What the f*** is this babbling about? Yet although I didn't want to hear her bullshit, she kept on opening and closing her mouth as though she was saying intelligible things. I wanted to at least say it to you. I wanted to know how I wanted you to know how I feel. I know how much you hate me. It's so easy to see, but I absolutely needed to get it off my chest. Now I'm ready. Just please stop looking so sad. You don't need to go out of your way to make me understand. You don't need to act anymore. She isn't scared at all. I'm nothing to her. Those eyes are telling me this. I started laughing dryly, like a maniac. She's continuously harassing me, even when the one on top is obviously me. She's seen through me with ease. I was never a match for her. I let go of her emptily and get off the bed slowly before turning away from her in complete defeat. Still, I was laughing like a broken record. I was laughing. Try to speak, but I guess I'm not totally prepared for it yet. Take a deep breath and then try another time. Get out. There's no use anymore. All I'd ever wanted was for her to feel as hopeless as I did. But now that I've understood that her hopelessness is even greater than my own, there's no point in doing any of this anymore. There's nothing left for me to take away from her anymore. There never was anything for me to take away from her in the first place. How pathetic. I don't wanna, she said with decisiveness in her voice. And even though I didn't have the courage to face her anymore, I still knew what kind of expression she was wearing. Get out, you f***. At that, she laced her slender arms around me from behind. Her embrace was awkward, the kind of hug only experienced teenage boys would give, uncomfortably, to their first girlfriend. Yet in that hold, I felt that strength with which she tackled every problem she had ever faced. I felt that determination with which she dominated anyone foolish enough to get between her and her goals. How irritating. I turned around violently, taking her perfect face roughly in my left hand enough, investing strength into my hold and pushing her against the wall next to us, all the while making sure she feels pain with every motion I make. Don't you understand? If you stay here, I'll break you. My face extremely close to hers. I could have literally eaten her all up right then and there, but she didn't flinch. She didn't look away from my fully dilated pupils. She didn't show any sign of pain, even though she was definitely feeling some, I'm sure. She was now showing me her true self for the first time in all these years. And at that moment, that's exactly what I want you to do. Oh, kinky, are we? I was the one who was frightened. She messed my guy up. Whoa. Whoa. Okay. We're gonna end it here then. Cool. That was fun. That was a weird episode. That's a lot of censoring. Thanks for watching, everyone. I hope you have an awesome time. Check out Brother Edge. Check out Ver. He's back. Lots of content. And yeah. Just in editing, fix that again. Yeah. Bye.
Failure ain't an option.